So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Kingdom of Discoveries. Today, as we soar through the skies, I'll share some little-known and mind-blowing facts about aviation. From the truth about bad airplane food to how choosing the safest seat can save your life, here are some of the craziest flight secrets that passengers are never told. Boarding a plane is one of the most stressful parts of air travel. Believe me, we've all been there. You go through airport security, finally get to your gate, only to see a long line of passengers waiting to board. Most people don't realize that there's really not much point in rushing to the front of the line. Plus, most airlines assign specific seats to passengers. Some airlines like to call passengers by groups, but you don't have to follow that rule. Being one of the last to board the plane is the easiest way to minimize the time you spend on it. Unless your carry-on is too big and won't easily fit in the overhead bin, there's not much point in lining up for a seat you already have assigned. When you board later, the process is usually quicker, as there are fewer people causing congestion at the gate and on the jetway. While you're waiting, you can take a look at your boarding pass. The 6-digit alphanumeric code you see on most boarding passes is called a PNR, or Passenger Name Record, and it's used to identify individual passengers when there are multiple passengers with the same name. This code is recorded in a computer reservation system database that contains passengers' flight itinerary, and it can reveal a lot of information about you, including your date of birth and contact details. In fact, that's why you shouldn't throw your boarding pass in a public trash can. The database this code is linked to also stores information like credit card data, passport data, and, if the booking was made online, IP addresses. If the code linked to all your personal information sounds creepy to you, I hope you never see the next code on your boarding pass. Passengers who see an SSSS code next to their tickets may be subject to additional security checks. Because this code, which stands for Secondary Security Screening Selection, is added to the boarding passes of passengers that airlines deem suspicious. As we all know, airports take security very seriously, and some things that seem totally innocent to us can be suspicious to airline representatives. Last-minute flights, one-way tickets, or buying tickets with cash can all seem a little suspicious to airport security staff. So, if you see this code on your boarding pass, try not to panic. Unless, of course, you have something to hide. Airplanes are very heavy machines. It's crazy to think that the maximum takeoff weight of a medium-sized commercial airplane is about 80,000 kilograms. This weight includes 41,000 kilograms of fuel and 21,000 kilograms of passengers, crew, and cargo. Despite their size, planes can still run into trouble in the air, and it's often from other living creatures that inhabit the skies in the area. Obviously, collisions between planes and birds usually don't end well for the birds. However, they can also damage a plane if they collide at high speed, like, for example, this airline's plane that collided with a bird in 2015. Luckily, all the passengers were fine, but the same can't be said for the bird. More than 20,000 plane-bird collisions happen worldwide each year, and sometimes these collisions can be severe enough to disable a plane's engines. And, as you can imagine, and fences aren't very effective at keeping birds away from runways, so airports have to get clever to prevent bird-related accidents. For example, Reagan National Airport in America uses the method of firing blank rounds from cannons to scare birds away from the airport. Some airports, to make the environment inhospitable for birds, fill ponds with sand and replace grass with gravel. One airport in France scares away birds of prey by broadcasting a pair of huge eyes on LED screens, which acts as a kind of aviation scarecrow. However, birds aren't the only problem airports have to worry about. Extreme weather is something you can't scare away with a bad look from LED screens. Hailstorms are one of the most dangerous weather conditions for planes and can cause quite serious damage. This plane's nose cone was severely damaged by golf ball-sized hail. After the plane went through a hailstorm, the windows were so shattered that the pilots had to land the plane practically blind. Miraculously, no one was injured, but the airline had to shell out a considerable sum to repair the damage. Besides hailstorms, some nervous passengers also worry about the possibility of lightning striking the plane. While it sounds scary, it's actually not as dangerous as you think. Before a plane goes into service, it undergoes testing with lightning simulations. This allows the lightning to travel unimpeded through the outer surface of the plane's fuselage and back into the sky from a part like the nose or wingtip. The people inside remain unharmed, except, of course, for some cases where someone got scared into fainting. Have you ever wondered where your waste goes after you use the toilet on a plane? Contrary to popular myths, airplane toilets are not allowed to empty into the sky. However, of course, accidents can happen. When you flush an airplane toilet, a powerful suction removes waste using very little water. This is done solely to save weight and space on the plane. The waste is stored in a large tank with disinfectant, and at the end of the flight, it's pumped out by a tanker truck at the airport. However, the frozen blue chunk you see here on the ground was composed of a mixture of human waste and blue liquid disinfectant and fell from a plane in 2017. Between 1979 and 2003, at least 26 incidents of this type of blue ice meteors falling were recorded worldwide. Among them, there were cases of blue ice falling on the roofs of houses located under airplane flight paths. This is not, of course, because pilots or flight attendants are playing blue poop jokes. It's just that sometimes leaks can occur from the plane's septic tanks. So, if one day you find a big chunk of blue ice in your yard, under no circumstances try to taste it. Speaking of toilets in the sky, what would you say if I told you there's a secret way to open an airplane toilet from the outside? Most cabin toilets have external locks located behind the toilet's metal plate, like, for example, in this case, and they are used by flight attendants in emergency situations. To open it, simply lift the plate, slide the handle to the open position, and if you did this when someone was inside, run before the flight attendants catch you. Everyone knows airplane food is bad, but have you ever wondered why? Airplane food is usually prepared in industrial catering facilities near the airport between 12 and 72 hours before the scheduled flight date. Contrary to popular belief, most airplane meals are not frozen, but rather rapidly chilled and delivered on board for flight attendants to heat and serve. Some luxury airlines, like Etihad Airways, have onboard chefs and even kitchens. Despite all this, airplane food will never compare to five-star restaurants on the ground. So what makes airplane food so bad? Actually, it's entirely due to human biology. Airplane cabins during flight can have humidity levels as low as 10%, which is drier than the Sahara Desert. With such low humidity levels, our nasal passages become so dry that it affects our perception of taste and smell. After spending some time in an airplane cabin, the tongue's ability to taste sweet flavors decreases by 15 to 20%. Salty flavors are muffled by 20 to 30%. Some airlines, to combat this, add a lot of salt and sugar to the food, so you might be consuming a lot more calories than you expect from your airplane food. If bland airplane food is ruining your mood, there's actually something you can do to fix the problem. It turns out that wearing noise-canceling headphones helps improve the taste of airplane food and drinks. Some studies in this area have shown that background noise can reduce our ability to perceive the taste of food. That is, wearing noise-canceling headphones to muffle the loud noise and engine hum on the plane can help bring our senses back to ground settings. However, passengers aren't the only ones who have problems with the food served in the sky. As for the food served on a plane, there are very specific rules for pilots, and there's a good reason for it. Captains and first officers are warned not to eat the same meal while on duty. This is a precaution to prevent widespread food poisoning. This way, if one pilot has problems with the food, the other pilot can take over. However, there's also a hierarchy in pilot food. On some airlines, the captain gets the first-class menu meal, while the first officer might get something from a lower class, a rather strange dinner date. Being responsible for the safety of hundreds of passengers is a tough job. So, it's no surprise that piloting a plane is considered one of the most stressful professions in the world.